If someone you love has just walked away and you didn't see it coming, it can feel like your whole life, your whole world has been pulled out from under you. Shock, fear, not knowing what comes next, it's overwhelming. I've put together some videos to help you move through this heartbreaking time and begin to start the healing process. You don't need to sign up, the videos will just play here for you. I'm Debbi Carberry, a relationship coach and therapist, and I'm here to help and guide you.
So writing down the top 3 things that are causing you the most pain right now. So thinking about what's really, really causing you a lot of pain right now, but also marking that from 0 to 10. So how painful is that? 0 being no pain and 10 being excruciating pain. And that's going to help us get a baseline for you, where you're at right at this moment. It's really important for us to recognize the things we can control and also to be very clear-eyed about what we cannot control. Many of you come with unresolved emotional wounds from previous relationships. Some of you are actually in process of relationships ending and really struggling with that. Many of you have trust issues and you might be fearing getting into new relationships. You might be very vulnerable because of past heartbreaks. Some of you want a fresh start. Some of you don't know how to think about a fresh start. Some of you are just still reeling from what has happened so far to you. Many of you are grieving a long-term relationship ending. Many of you have commented about people just upping and leaving and how incredibly painful is that has been for you, where you've been with somebody for many decades in many cases. I've read women who've said 36 years, 25 years, over 40 years I read of a woman saying, my partner just said, I don't want to do this anymore, and just got up and left. Or partners going and not even speaking to you for weeks on end to let you know what was going on. Very, very painful things. Many of you are dealing with intense emotions. Some of you are angry, like really red hot angry. Some of you are so sad and really stuck in that. A lot of you are in confusion. So if any of these ring true for you, jot them down and think about, 0 to 10, where am I at with this? How intense is it? And it might change day to day. It might change moment to moment. Many of you are not feeling lovable or worthy, and many of you are struggling to make decisions about what is the very next right step for you. What do you need to do next to cope? And some of you are like, just getting through the day is what I'm about. Like just trying to get through the day is what it's about for me right now. Some of you are concerned about repeating negative patterns or dysfunctional behavior, where you have been in multiple relationships where things have gone very similarly, and so you're wanting that to not happen again. Some of you, of course, are struggling with the impacts of trauma and have had abusive relationships, and you ladies have talked about that in the group. And I understand that can add an additional level of complexity to things. Many of you are fearful of abandonment. Lots of you don't know how to, or many of you don't know how to, but many of you don't know how to maintain boundaries as well. So it's setting a boundary and keeping a boundary and letting people know, hey, here's my boundary, and that's not okay with me. And some of you self-sabotage. You get into the space of doubting yourself or making choices that aren't in your best interest. So if any of those apply to you, give me a thumbs up or a love heart or something in the chat, so I know that some of those apply to you. And those are some of the things that I saw in the group yesterday and today. I want you to know that the single goal that I have for you and for us this week, just one goal, and I want you to think about, okay, Debbi, my one goal for this week is, now, often when we say being happy is not a destination. It's a side line of what's having a life that feels good. It's about, happiness isn't a goal. It's something that happens when we're living in integrity and we're happy where we are. But it's not a goal. To be happy isn't a goal, really. So we want to think about, what is it that we want in this one week? Is it to start to manage our emotions better? Is it about trying to help our kids get through this? Is it about looking at our finances or getting in touch with a lawyer? Is it about taking things a bit more slowly and being a bit more gentle and compassionate with ourselves? What is it that you want to focus on this week? One thing that you think, what, this is really important to me. And if you want to share that in the comments, you are welcome to as well. Try and get as specific as you possibly can. I think that that's important, because that's how we're going to measure how you've done. I am really sorry to tell you there are no instant results at all, ever. There just aren't. And many people come to my workshops hoping that within a week their life will completely transform, they'll be really happy, and they'll be able to move forward. That isn't what these workshops are about. They're about having really manageable small victories that help you stay motivated to make the changes that you want in your life in the long term, to tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. It's about being consistent and making small, steady steps towards something that is sustainable. And that's really important. I think when we want those quick fixes, what happens is we skip parts of the process and we can be back in the same situation again. And some of you are with me for the second or third time. This is not your first rodeo. So lots of people want to dive in head first, get to the finish line as quickly as you possibly can. And I want you to know that that's not going to be helpful. It's about really having a strong foundation, setting some goals, and really leaning into the fact that what I want to teach you is about making changes that are going to be sustainable and really lean into the next chapter of your life. Hopefully, the chapter that is going to be amazing and fulfilling and perfect for you. So, some of the common things that get in the way of people achieving those things during the workshop are not having a clear idea of what you want, or having really unrealistic expectations, about either self-love or personal growth, or having denial around the relationship being over. Sometimes it's about a lack of commitment, or, like, hey, I really need this, but something came up, I'm too busy, I don't have time, or fear and vulnerability. If I do this, maybe it's going to be hard, and I don't know if I want to do things that are hard and hurt me and are difficult for me. So those things can get in our way too. Sometimes we don't plan well. I don't know about you ladies, but I have 4 kids. And when my kids were younger, my life was busy as. So I would have kids to run to school and get them home, and cook and clean and wash and iron and work. And it meant that planning was really important. So it's really important to have a bit of a plan for this week. When are you going to make time? Is it going to be on your way to work? Is it going to be in your lunch break? Is it going to be when everybody's quiet at night and you can have a few minutes to yourself? Plan around how you're going to come and actually do the work that I'm giving to you. We have to accept setbacks. Some days it's going to feel good, and other days it's going to feel like a bag of shit. I'm just going to be honest with you. And so it's really important for you to sit and go, okay, how am I going to manage the days when I think this is a waste of time, I don't want to do it, it's too hard? How are you going to manage the setback? Because that is really important. It's important to remember that external factors like past trauma or core beliefs that are quite faulty can kind of trip us up. And so we want to be a bit aware of those things if we can. And sometimes self-belief, like sometimes, and I've heard this from women so many times, oh yeah, but I always make mistakes, I always choose the wrong person, we have to be a bit careful about being mean to ourselves. All right, so let's talk about what you are grappling with right now. And if any of this resonates with you, please do pop it into the comments. Many of you have said, Debbie, the thing is, I need closure before I can let go. The thing is, they left and I'm left with a million questions, and I need them to respond to the questions. I want you to know that there's a difference between closure and letting go. We're here to let go of some things, but we might not ever get closure. We have control over letting go, but we have zero control of closure. Closure means, that we have a sense or an understanding that we're peaceful and accepting of the situation being over. It doesn't mean we like it, but closure is about having that sense and understanding and peace around it. Many see closure as a sense of completion, a release of the entanglement of the relationship, because closure kind of provides you with the ability to move forward with the next step in your life. We often think we cannot move on unless we have closure, but many of you will not have closure. In fact, I would suggest to you that the vast majority of you will not have closure. So what do we do when we don't get closure? How do we move on, or do we stay stuck forever? And I'd love you to comment in the chat if you would like to. I can't see any comments coming through right now, but I'd love for you to comment in the chat if you'd like to. Is, how many of you are wanting closure? How many of you are hoping that that is coming for you? How many of you have been quite a while and you haven't got the closure that you hoped for? It's not easy to let go of somebody that you love. And even though relationships end, it's often a really difficult process because our hearts stay in love with the person. It's not like the love dies just because the relationship has ended, especially if we didn't want the relationship to end, especially if we weren't the person who was making that decision. When we think about the future, we have to think about, am I stuck in a cycle? Am I stuck in a place where maybe I can't move forward? Maybe we have fear about the future. Maybe we're scared about being alone. Maybe we're scared about new relationships. Maybe we're scared about getting hurt again. And so we can get in a bit of a cycle of fear, not wanting to move forward because it's just too frightening. I understand that many of you feel that life is unfair, and it can be unfair. Today felt very unfair to me. And we can tell ourselves a story that nothing good is going to happen for us, that there's this belief inside of us that nothing is going to happen that's good for us, and we can get a bit stuck. And the problem with that is that all of those thoughts, and they're just thoughts, and thoughts are not facts, they're just thoughts, right? But all of those thoughts can leave us pretty helpless and pretty hopeless. And what I want to do during our time together is help you move out of that, help you feel more empowered, more confident, more prepared to move forward. We can get stuck in the stories of how we think things should be, and that can get in the way of dealing with what actually is happening. If our partners have left, that's a fact, whether we like it or we don't, whether it's painful or not. It's a factual piece of information. They are gone, and that hurts, right? But the first step to moving forward is being able to accept that they are gone. When we focus on what they did to us, they left us, they had an affair, they are in a midlife crisis, they've got mental health issues, they've got addictive behaviors, which is many of the things that you have shared with me in the Facebook group, that they have all of these things going on. When we are busy thinking about what they have done to us, and we swim around in the hurt and sadness of that, it is very hard for us to have enough energy for us to be able to heal and move forward. Many of you ask, Deb, you understand though, I'm really confused. Was all of our relationship a lie? At the end, this person is somebody I don't even recognize. It's somebody I don't know. And I'm questioning my entire relationship. I thought I knew this person inside and out. And now I look and I go, I don't know who this person is. And I question all of the relationship, not just what's happened recently, but everything. I want you to know that when they loved you, they really loved you. When they were with you, they were with you. But when it ended, that was real too. They decided they didn't want to be here anymore. They didn't want to stay in the relationship for whatever reason. And that is also real. And that's hard, right? That is really painful. It's really difficult. The pain that you are feeling, and I'd love you to share in the comments with me, if you think about how painful is this, 0 being it doesn't hurt at all, and 10 being, honestly, it's really hard to get through the day. Give me an idea in the comments what level of pain you are currently in. I want you to understand what that pain is. I want you to have a conceptual idea of what the pain actually is. It's grief. And grief is love that has nowhere to go. When we love somebody, and we have loved them our whole lives for 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years, when we've loved them, we just can't turn that love off like it's a tap. That love is still there, but the love has nowhere to go. And so we are now in this intense, painful feeling of, I have love for this human who means the world to me, and I can't give that to them. Between now and when we finish this workshop, I want you to really try and be as reflective as you possibly can. I want you to think about what's possible and what's not for you. I need you to really think about, how am I going to move forward, and really start to kind of question the noise in your head that's yeah, but. We have to, if we're going to move forward, and we're going to let go of this, and we're going to begin our next chapters, the next chapters of our life, whether we like it or not. The page has turned. We're in the next chapter, whether we like it or not. Another person has decided that for us. Then we have to know, okay, how am I going to move forward? What am I willing to do to find a way through this? I don't want you to beat yourself up, but I really want you to show up for yourself. You know, all the mental energy you give to them, all the time and energy you put towards why did they, how did they, where did they, all of those things, that's energy that you don't have for you. That's energy they have off you, but you then don't have the energy to go, how am I going to eat today? How am I going to take care of my kids today? How am I going to get to work today? How am I going to clean the house today? How am I going to brush my teeth today? Because I just don't feel like it. I feel dreadful. And I want you to take some of the energy back that you are giving to them because you need it for you to heal. If we want our lives to be different, to be better than they are, we need to give up some of the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories from our past that we tell ourselves, so that we're able to let go and move on. You know, when painful things happen to us, we might be telling ourselves that if only we knew why did this happen, then maybe the pain would be less, or maybe it'd be gone completely. But that's not true. You know, understanding why something happened isn't going to bring you closure. And sometimes it can be so painful when somebody tells you why. I read some of the comments in the Facebook group. You know, my partner told me he didn't love me anymore. He wasn't interested in me anymore. He was bored with me. Like, those really hurt. So knowing why somebody left isn't going to change it. We think it will, but it often doesn't at all. And it certainly doesn't take away any of the pain. Remembering that that pain we feel, the grief that we feel, is love with nowhere to go. For some of us, you know, if we don't find peace in our day, we're going to get really stuck in the hurt of it all. And the longer we're stuck in the hurt of it all, you know, the more exhausted we get from it. Imagine thrashing around in the ocean when you're trying to get to shore and there's a really strong current, or imagine, you know, feeling like you're in a tug of war with somebody quite big and strong who's pulling you around, and the energy that's spent on that means that you don't have the energy to actually start the healing process for yourself. And we can get really stuck in the hurt and stay in that hurt for way, way longer than we need to. So I have a little exercise for you. You know, how much do you feel that how much do you want to let go? Like 0 to 10. Now, here's the thing. If it's 0, that's fine. It's good to know where you sit. So if you go, you know what? I don't want to let go, Debbie. That's the truth. And all I'm asking you to do is be truthful with yourself. You don't have to share it with anybody, but you need to know where your baseline is. If you're at a space of going, I don't want to let go. I don't want to let go. I want to stay here. 0 is where I'm at. If you're at an 8, a 9, a 10, then maybe you're ready to let go. But the most important thing right now is to have an idea of where you are at. There's no right or wrong answers. This is about just getting real with yourself and working out, you know, where am I sitting right now and what's it going to take to move me forward? To be able to move on and to let go and start fresh, we have to start being really honest with ourselves, not with anybody else, with ourselves. Denial will not move us forward. It's going to drag us under. So if we tell ourselves we're a 10 out of 10, and in fact we're a 2 out of 10, then we're going to find it really hard to move on and wonder why. It's okay to be a 0 or 1 or a 2 out of 10 if that's where you're at. Just know that that is where you're at, because that's going to be your starting point. And all we need to know is where to begin. So I want you to listen to some of these stories, and I want you to think about, are these stories I'm telling myself about my life? Do they show up in my life? And maybe some of these are actually playing into my stuckness. And again, pick a couple of these, 0 out of 10. How much do I believe these stories that are running around in my head? And I'm going to read you some, because people get a bit stuck on this kind of thing. And this can give you an opportunity to go, that actually resonates with me. That feels right for me. So I'm running out of time to find a partner. Maybe you think there must be something wrong with me if I'm still single at this age. Maybe you are sitting thinking, I should have actually been settled by now in my life. Maybe some of you are thinking, you know, being single at this age actually is a sign of failure. If a relationship ends, it's a sign of failure. Maybe you're thinking, you know, I'm not desirable or attractive anymore. And so it's going to be really, really difficult for me at my age. Maybe you are thinking, maybe I'm destined to be alone. Maybe I'm never going to find love. Maybe this is it for me. Maybe you are thinking, you know, if I'm not in a relationship, then who am I? Like, what sort of person am I when I'm single? Maybe that's changed around your family and your friends, because now you're not a couple anymore. Maybe you're thinking, who's going to accept me with all of my past baggage? Who's going to accept me as I am? Maybe you're thinking, gosh, at this stage of my life, there'll be no new people for me and I'll be single forever. Maybe you're thinking, I don't want to ever have a relationship ever again. Like, I don't want to be around anybody. I never, ever, ever want to be hurt ever again. Maybe you're also thinking, finding love is really hard, that there are no good people left out there. It is really challenging when we have stories in our head about who we are, what's important to us. When long-term relationships end, it doesn't just shift the relationship, it shifts so many things. Maybe our home, maybe our friendship group, maybe our extended family, maybe our in-laws, maybe our children, maybe our finances. It can impact so many different things in our lives. And we can begin to make up stories about what the rest of our life is going to look like, what the next chapters are going to look like. And it's important to kind of know the things that are in your head about that, the things that get in the way for you that are about that. And once you know those, it's okay. And then you can sit down and go, that's a belief that I have that might not be helpful to me moving forward. I want you to know that we create our own reality. Now, people say to me, that's great, Debbie, that's bullshit also. And I want to tell you that when I say that, what I mean is the things we focus on, the stories we tell ourselves, the stuff that goes on inside of our heads, that stuff does create our reality because our brain filters information out. And so what happens is what we believe and what we focus on gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And what we don't look for and we don't see gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And what can happen there is we start to believe the stories in our mind, and that actually means those stories come true for us. I want you this week to just be open. Open your heart and mind and think, today, for this small moment in time, for this week in my life, I'm going to be open to just learning something new. I'm going to be open to question things. I'm going to be open to get really honest with myself and get really vulnerable. I'm going to be open to making changes. And these changes that I'm going to share with you aren't just about the relationship ending. They're about your identity. Who the hell are you? Do you know who you are? Like, seriously, let me know in the comments. Do you know? 0 to 10. Do you think you know who you are? Are some of you really lost at the sort of 8 or 9? Are some of you really confident? You're like, I know exactly who I am. I'm really confident with who I am. Knowing who you are is really important. What I find for women who've been in long-term relationships is a couple of things. Maybe you're in midlife also, like me. And maybe you are menopausal or perimenopausal. Maybe you have teenage children or your children have grown and left home. Maybe you are thinking about the future and thinking about maybe going part-time or retiring, or you have retired. Maybe you were thinking this was the moment when life was really going to change and you were going to do all those things that you had wanted to do for so long. And then this happened. And you're like, I don't know who the hell I am right now. I have no clue who I am. I don't know who I am. If I'm not a wife and a mother, if I'm not those things, then who am I? Because for many of us, whether we like it or not, women's identities, especially women in midlife, our identities are mostly about other people. My aging parents, my children, my partner, my colleagues, my friends. And so our lives are built around that story of who we are in relation to other people. And when things fall away, we go, who am I in all of this? I have done so much for so many people my whole life. I don't have the first clue who I am right now. This week is 100% being focused on you. Not what they did to you, not what they said to you, not what you feel should be happening, but really looking at you and what you want the next chapter to be. We can control nothing except ourselves. Not people, not places, not things. The only thing we have control over is ourselves. And when we lean into that, and when we start to really know that that is factually accurate, life gets a lot easier. Trust me. I want you to come to this week, looking at life through a different lens, a more honest lens. What sort of limiting beliefs do you have? Women can't succeed. Older women can't have happy relationships. We should be married for life. Like, what are those core beliefs you have that might be holding you back? What about expectations? You know, I didn't think this is where I would be in my life. I expected to stay with my partner forever. My kids don't know what to do about this. Those expectations that are on us. Maybe we listen to the whispers of the past, and we start to believe, you know, people who might have told us, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're never going to amount to anything, and we start to believe it. It's really important to get to the core of what you think and believe, because from there you can start to rebuild and change it. I work every single day of my life with women from around the world. I have women in my membership who are over 70 years old, who are out dating, who have decided that there is still plenty of life left in them and they want to have a rich and meaningful life. And that means they have to plug into themselves. Some of them have never ever done that their entire lives. Some got married at 16, 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 years old, very young. Some had kids. Some sacrificed a lot of their own wants and needs for other people. And now they are faced with this space of, well, what the heck do I do now when all of those things have dropped away? I promise you that this could be the very best moment of your life. It may not feel like it right now. And I'm smiling to myself because when everything went to shit earlier today and I was having heart palpitations, I was like, I've been suspended from Facebook. I can't believe it. And Kathy then said to me, I've been suspended too. I was like, what the heck? You know, I've been on Facebook for, I don't know, 2029, a long time. And like, it's stunning, right? So today was about going, okay, practice what you preach. You know, how are you going to work around this? What are you going to do? I can sit in the fear of it all, or I can do something. What am I going to do right now? And what is the very next right thing to do? Like, okay, first of all, I've got to work out, you know, emails and writing to you and getting you to know and letting you know in the Facebook group and getting my members to come and support me. Like, what's the very next right step? That's what life is about. You know, everybody is going to experience something that takes their breath away in their life, every single one of us. And in that moment, we have to be ready with the tools to go, what is my very next right step? What have I got to do here? So many of us sit in autopilot. I don't know how many of you have or were or are currently sitting in autopilot, but we have to decide, right? We have to make a decision. Am I going to stay in this place? Am I going to stay stuck? Or am I going to do something else? And someone will say to me, Debbie, that's great, but I don't know what to do. Like, that's really great. I don't know what to do. Here's the good news. I do. And you're in the right place to find out, because I do know what you can do. I know the really, really good things that will help you move forward, the things that will help you cope, the things that will help you look after yourself, the things that will help you face the challenges that are coming. It's important to understand. And if you've been in a relationship for 2 years, actually, I'll do this different. If you've been in a relationship for 10 or 15 or 20 years, you came out of that and coped really well, and then got in a relationship and you were in it for 2 years, the pain you may be feeling right now is compounded grief from the first and the second relationship. You might be in a relationship where you were with the person for 30 years. There's no way you can grieve that relationship in weeks or even months, and possibly years. It might take 2 years to move through the grief of that. The bottom line is to go, okay, today, in this moment, right now, this second, what can I do? What can I do to help me get out of autopilot and start being in my life? Yeah, we can get really stuck in being stuck, and it can be a comfortable place sometimes. So we have to ask ourselves, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do to help us move forward with this? What are we going to do to make sure that we're okay, to make sure that we have what we need, that our lives are how we would like them to be? The bottom line, whether we like it or not, is that we have to show up today for us. We have to be willing to go, okay, in this moment, I'm going to have to take charge of my life. You know, I hear stories from women, and my personal experience, by the way, a long time ago, it feels like a long time ago now, my children were all very small. I was single and I had 4 kids, 2 additional needs. And yeah, life felt really freaking hard. And I had to learn how to do things. And I remember getting a kitchen knife, a butter knife, to help me try and fix a louver door that one of my kids had broken. I remember going to the hardware store and buying my first, screwdrivers and things. I remember crying in the hardware store because I just thought, this isn't fair. Why have I got to do this? I've got 4 kids on top of everything else. And I had to learn to do things that I hadn't done before. And I've learned from that how resilient I am. I've learned from that that I have capacity and I can do hard things and I can show up for myself, and that it's okay for me to be stuck in this moment. But I have to choose right here, right now, today. Do I want to make a change? Do I want things to be different?